everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Vinayak Ahuja, and I'm here today to speak about behavior technology and how we can take advantage to use it to improve our lead scores. Sorry, not our lead scores, our lead quality. And there's a big difference between that. Before I continue, I'd like to find out how many of you run Google Analytics, are familiar with Google Analytics, and and use any outside parties or outside software for your analytical tools? Okay, so can you raise your hands higher? It's very bright. I'm getting blinded by the lights here. Okay, quite a few. So my presentation is mainly on what kind of software we can use that's fairly freemium or very cost efficient, but very, very high quality. Google Analytics is a great example of this. I'm sure all of you are very familiar. I'll be going through other technologies that we can certainly use, but I'll also be talking about other software and other programs that you can use as well if you wanted to consider, like KISSmetrics or any other programs that are out there. All right. So as I was saying before, the purpose of this conversation is not to consider driving more leads to your advertiser. It's worrying about improving the quality of the lead. So take this for example. If all conversions are equal, generating 100 leads with 5% conversion rate and is valued the same number, if all the conversions are equal, then it's the return on investment that you're getting from those 5 leads or those 5 conversions is equal to if you had 10 leads and you're getting 5 leads and you're converting 50%, which is also 5 leads. Conversely, and this is what a lot of publishers don't seem to understand, and a lot of advertisers don't really try to push because they're so worried about numbers, and they're so worried about getting more clicks or getting more traffic to their site. But every time you get sent a lead that has to go through your lead pool, and it has to go through your process to become a potentially qualified lead or be determined as a dead lead, you're spending a lot of resources on human resource. And you're spending a lot of money on leads to those publishers, that could actually be better spent paying them more for those quality leads. So coming back to that same example, we're looking at a publisher that generates 100 leads and a publisher that generates 10, but one generates 10% and another generates 50. I already kind of gave my opinion, but and I won't bother asking, but I would assume that some of you, if I just said, hey, I'm going to bring you 100 with 95 or the same math, you probably would have not really seen the difference right away. It would have taken you a little while to think about it. That's usually how a lot of advertisers think. They're trained to think that way. They're big organizations, and they just need to worry about getting those numbers in that make sense. So today, we're here to talk about how to take advantage of the tools that are available to us, accessible to everybody in this room, despite your budget, in order to improve behavior analytics, in order to improve the quality of your leads. So the first thing I'm going to talk about again is Google Analytics. Yes, sir. No, I'm sorry, I didn't bring any slides today. I didn't have an opportunity to put together a slide presentation. I know, I'm already at a bad start, so I apologize right away, everybody. But the first thing I want to talk about was Google Analytics, because it is definitely a great utility for harvesting data. I am familiar with small, medium-sized business. Google Analytics has never been something that hasn't been able to meet scale. This is for intermediary, so I'm hoping that even though many of you raised your hands that you're using Google Analytics, you feel the same way and you see that there's a lot of potential out there. How many of you are familiar with universal analytics? Okay, one person. I feel a lot better. I'm giving you something now that I don't have slides. Universal analytics is the next upgrade being offered by Google Analytics. It's a fairly simple upgrade. It's just a change of Java code. It's actually available right now, and it'll actually allow you to apply user IDs to each one of your visitors. I may have jumped ahead, but I'm going to go ahead and come back to my notes. Just to go over real quick, for anybody who might not be familiar, again, this is intermediary, so some may be higher level than others, but you should already have your basic analytics down. Your Google Analytics, everybody raised their hand, so everyone's generating already their basic analytics, their age, their gender, location. You could actually now harvest interest data. I don't believe that was available before on Google Analytics. Now it is because of user analytics. What they've applied are cookies through through the display ads, through the Google Ad Network, and they, using those cookies, they're able to harvest trackable interest data on the users and apply it back to you. So there's quite a bit of information now that we can get from Google Analytics that wasn't traditionally available before. Let's see, what else? So another tool you could use if you're not taking advantage of Google Analytics, and you are, obviously, everyone is, but it's still not able to provide you household income, race, education, home ownership, etc. So just to go over it really quickly, we all know how to harvest that data, right? Surveys, Facebook ads, you name it. There's a ton of ways to do it. ESPs, emails. Obviously, some of you might be familiar, and I'm sure everybody's using an ESP. They're paying for one right now, right? So everyone has an ESP. They're having about 20, 30,000 emails, 20, 30,000 or more email list. Is there anybody who doesn't have that? No? Okay, great. So everyone's good on emails. Quick survey is actually a very interesting technology that I came across that I think is very important to look at. I personally am not satisfied with SurveyMonkey. I think it integrates very well into other technologies, but it doesn't really give you too many options for your survey, for surveys that you can implement. And Quick Survey actually gives you a lot more options that I've been exploring. I've not had an opportunity to use this technology yet. I just came across it recently, but I certainly recommend that everybody take a look at it. KWIK Survey. It's a very cool technology. It's a very cool tool. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. And it's free. That's something that even Quick SurveyMonkey isn't. SurveyMonkey only offers you up to 100 users that you could send to over X period. But this you could actually use for, I think it said 50,000 or something along that line. So it's a very large number. And that's before the enterprise. So it's very good. All right. So another tool that you can always use, Census Bureau data, Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'm sure you're both very familiar with that. That is something I always fell back to. If you're not able to get the data you need from, or you need it very quickly, you're always able to get the data you need if you're running your campaigns properly. But if you're not able to get the data quickly, you can always fall back to that data and get reliable data using, I'm trying to look for the right word, basically what you do is you look at your age, you look at gender, and you look at demographic like New York. So if you're applying that age, gender, demographic, you can make an educated guess. That's what I was looking for. You can make an educated guess on what is an appropriate, what are appropriate demographics that you could apply to your user base. Obviously, you have to be very sparring with that. It's not 100% reliable, but it's a good start over nothing. And believe me, there are plenty of publishers out there, there are plenty of advertisers out there. They don't even do this much. I'm very surprised that so many of you are using Google Analytics and so many of you are so tech savvy. I'm not, most people that I speak to, they're not that savvy at all. They're not that educated or informed in this area. Let's see here. So we talked about contactology. I mentioned a little bit about KISSmetrics. I've looked into that technology. It was the reason, and coming back to the purpose of this conversation. The purpose of this conversation is accessible technologies and techniques. So if anything's over a $200 price point or a $500 price point, and I only look at $500, if it's an extremely important or valued tool, I didn't include it in this presentation. So if this was not something you were expecting, I truly apologize. I was very surprised with the level of experience that this audience has. But KISSmetrics is a technology that's been around for about a year and a half. They work very much like Google Universal Analytics. What they provide is a more simple solution to analyzing and attributing where your users are coming from. But Universal Analytics already does that. So in my opinion, unless you don't have the resources to invest into putting together the backend for Google Analytics, and believe me, the resources are not that much, especially for this audience, I would look into it. It's $200 a month. It's not that difficult to buy. Both parties should be in. All right, so then the last thing is that both publishers and advertisers should be able to, not the last thing obviously, but the last part of this particular area, both advertisers and publishers should be able to identify where their traffic is coming from. And that's extremely important because this is all about collaboration. And you should be able to collaborate with your advertiser and you should be able to collaborate with your publisher in order to provide the best leads for both for your advertiser. And when that happens, I've had the personal experience that when I provided strong lead for my advertisers working on the publisher side, I was always rewarded heavily, extremely well. So if you haven't had that experience, I suggest you put in the time and work with your advertiser and give it a chance, see where you can go. So coming back to behavior and how we can optimize behavior. The first thing I have to say is that content is key. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that term, but basically that means that the content that you put out there will determine the action and the reaction that you'll receive from your audience. If your content is strong and interesting, people will engage more. And the more that they engage, the more you can learn from them. And that's extremely important. So content is very important. And you're probably asking yourself, well, we have great content. We create great white papers. We put out great surveys and we reach out to our audience. Our click-through rates are about average, how have you. What else can we do to improve content? A/B testing. That's the number one thing that you could do on your website. Look into A/B testing. And some of you may not be familiar with this, but has anybody here heard of Optimizer? Okay, good. I feel better again. Optimizer is a new technology that came out in May of this past year, I believe. And what they do is they simplify the process of testing, of A/B testing. There's a plethora of other technologies that are out there. Unbounce, View My Optimizer. I have a few listed here. But my point is that they're free. There's no user limit. You can have 50,000 users per month visit your site and you can categorize all of them. I think you could actually go even higher. The only restriction with Optimizer is that it only works on the basics of what you can do with your A/B testing. So if you wanted to test something like your colors on your icons, move the placement of your icons. If you wanted to change the text, that's very easy to do, and Optimizer will allow you to do that. I strongly recommend you checking it out. You don't even need any Java code to get started. You literally put in your URL, and until you're prepared to allow Optimizer in, you won't have to apply any Java code to your backend. So it's a very great tool. I certainly recommend everyone in this room checking it out and seeing if it's something right for them. So I mentioned that content is king, and I mentioned that, let's see, what else here? Well, I think a lot of this other content that I'm going to be talking about outside of technology that's out there may feel a little redundant. I'd like to get an idea of some of the questions that some of you had when you came in here. How can I help you answer some of your questions? Is there anything particular on someone's mind that they'd like to talk about or ask me about? Maybe I can help them answer it. No? Yes, go ahead. Okay. Okay.
So, I don't know, maybe if you could give me like a little feedback on like, we were talking specifically about, like if it needs to have maybe a call to action or like, like maybe some specifics that the ads should have for this quality.
Well, call to action is very important. Again, the action that you, or the content you provide will determine the action or the reaction of your audience. But the first thing I'd ask you about is, why are they coming to you first about the content and having the content approval? They should know their audience, and you should be collaborating with them together and determining the content. Now, this is what this is about. I'm glad you also said that maybe I'm on the other side, because you're not. We're on the same side. You know, publishers and advertisers, they always put themselves on different sides. And yeah, when we're negotiating fees and we're negotiating, dollar amounts, obviously, things can get a little heated, but at the end of the day, we're all here in the same thing. We're trying to drive you sales. Publishers are trying to drive you sales, and advertisers are trying to pay publishers, right? So at the end of the day, my first question would be, what are they doing to determine the content that's right for their audience? And if they're not doing that, maybe their leads aren't that high quality. And what they're doing to drive those leads, maybe you should consider what else you could be doing on your side in order to drive more leads on your side. So that's another question you have to ask yourself, right? So a publisher, and I don't even have to answer this, right? Everybody here wants a publisher who's driving them traffic that they can't get themselves. And by far and large, that is a quality publisher. That is what a publisher should do. Most of the affiliate space is driven by the idea that if we give them discounts and we give them content, that they will ultimately drive us leads that we're looking for. But that shouldn't be the way it is. If that's the way it is, then what you're really doing is you're feeding a pool that shouldn't have existed in the first place. You're not doing your due diligence to reach out to your audience the way you should be by creating microsites or through AdWords or through other communication portals with bloggers to get the users that you need and get the leads that you should be getting. So coming back to the idea of content, because that's really what you were concerned about. The first thing I would ask you is what are you doing right? What are you putting out right now? What is the call to action on your content that you're putting out there? Are you asking people to subscribe? Are you asking people to like you on Facebook? What is your plan? At the end of the day, you should have a step-by-step concept of how you're going to turn this lead into a sale. That's what you want to do. You want to take that person who's looking at this content and you want to identify maybe 4, 6, 8, 20, whatever it takes, steps that person could possibly take in order to become a sale. Because again, let's come back to the concept of you paying for 100 leads and only 5 converting. 95 of those leads, what are you going to do? Just walk away and throw away that money? No. You've got to figure out a way to turn those 95 leads into a sale. So the first step is, okay, you want them to interact with this product and buy a sale, right? Let's say your call to action is make a purchase. Interact, or it's a mortgage, so call us and get a mortgage today. What if they don't want to do that? What if there's an opportunity they can like you on Facebook or interact with a contest that you're having on homeowners and how they're rejuvenating their homes, or some other opportunity that could be available that your company is doing that you could put into this email? That comes back to the concept of content is king, and using content to inspire that lead to take action. Now what's going to happen is that based on your conversion rate, X number is going to convert, Y number is going to fall to the side based on the actionable opportunities that are available to them. And with the right designers, with the right team, you can always have premium content that's being put out that doesn't seem like there's too much going on, that plenty of people can interact with. So that's a nutshell of what I'd say to you. I don't think that's the full answer of what you would need. And I'm more than happy to talk to you afterwards, after the 18 minutes are up, and then give you a little bit more idea of what you could do. More than happy to do that. Are there any other questions, everyone, that I can help answer? I really wanted to go over technology and really give you an idea of what you could do with this technology, the concept of A/B testing, what you could do, what you should be focusing on with content, and how you should be revitalizing, revising that content in order to drive more quality leads to your websites. But yeah, I'm more than happy to take any other questions that you may have. This seemed like a group that was more knowledgeable than I anticipated. Anybody else have any questions? Anything that's concerning them in their business? Okay. I'm sorry? Yes, I do. It's called thejungleoutthere.com. I just put it up, brand new, so go for it. Great. Any other questions about driving traffic to your website? Any questions from publishers, advertisers? No? Okay. That's it then. I guess, thank you very much. I hope this was a meaningful talk, and thank you all for coming.